I'm Steve Davis of Sidemount Pros and the host of the podcast Speaking Sidemount. I'm here in the beautiful far north of New Zealand, looking out over the inlet to Maunganui Harbour. And what I wanted to do today is review some equipment that's really important to us as sidemount divers and as cave divers. Now, for some years now, since 2016, I've been using the Graumarine LED Duo light along with one of their really big batteries. It's a lithium-ion 13.6 amp hour 14.4 volt battery, which I mount along the weight pocket on my Stealth 2.0 tech harness, and I'm using some special equipment or attachment points there provided by Deluxe Germany, which are just awesome, and I love mounting it in that manner. It means it's out of the way, and for a battery of that size, I really don't want to have that butt mounted. It's just number one, too heavy, and number two, too obtrusive. So it's an awesome place to mount it. I've been really happy with that in terms of mounting. I know some people mount argon cylinders in a similar way under the harness so they're out of the way. So this has been a terrific light for me. The light itself is incredibly powerful, 18,000 lumen in total. You can, various settings, you can set it to spot, you can set it to video, and you can set it to video and spot, which is when it this baby boosts out 18,000 lumen. So it really turns night into day, and I've loved that light. Now, having said all of that, one of the big issues as a traveling diver is this battery, and when you multiply together 13.6 amps by 14.4 volts, you get 196 or so watt hours, and so this is way in excess of the allowable limit for transporting a lithium-ion battery onto a commercial aircraft. And many people get around this by putting a piece of tape over that and effectively bullshitting and saying that it's a smaller battery. I have successfully brought this back from Europe and travelled from Gozo to London, and then from London to Dubai to Auckland. But this battery got inspected every step of the way, and I was absolutely terrified it was going to be confiscated. It's several €100 worth of battery there, and if it gets confiscated while you're partway through a travel or through a leg on a trip, you're not really going to get it back very easily. So it's really not a very nice experience every time I travel. So while I love this light, the battery size has become an issue. I've tried to source a smaller battery from Graumarine. They do have a 10 amp hour or so battery that would be under 150, which is the maximum limit. However, I just can't simply get Graumarine to ship it here to New Zealand, so it's really only available in Europe. And at this point in time, I don't have a trip planned to Europe where I can go and pick one up. So that has become a big problem for me. Now, recently, I was really pleased to see Razer release a new primary light. And I'm everyone who knows me knows I'm an X-Deep guy, and I dive everything X-Deep. But having said that, I'm a big fan of Razer, big fan of Steve Bogart's HP and Uta, and I really just like their style. I like their equipment, and I like the way that they work about product design. I think it's really first class. So I was really excited to see their new primary light come out. I haven't got the specs on it with me, but what I'm going to do now, this baby arrived today, and so here it is, beautifully boxed, and I'm going to do a bit of an unboxing now. Typically unboxings are a bit of a wank, so I don't want to make it like that. I really want to talk through some really specific side mount things that might be of interest to side mount divers when they look at a primary light. This is called a L4200, so I'm assuming the 4200 relates to the lumens or the power of the battery. In fact, on the back it tells me that. In the specs here it says 4,200 lumen, warm white light 5,000K, burn time on 42,000 is 5 hours, so that's plenty for the diving that I'm doing. And even when you think of normally you want your light to burn at least twice as long as your dive time, so that fits the bill. On 2,000 lumen it's going to go for 10 hours, and on 40 lumen it's going to go for 2.5 days. So that's pretty cool. Some of the biggest things about this, and it says it's driven by innovations, it's got wireless charging. So wireless charging is super cool. It says 8 hours, and so that's pretty cool there as well, because there's nothing worse than having difficulty charging, and I think that's really cool. Waterproof to 100 meters. That fits me just fine. It's got some overcharge protection and yada yada yada. So I think everything about it says this is going to be a great light, including the fact that it's branded Razer. So let's see if we can open this up and see what we're going to get. So I'm opening the box now really carefully. Let's see if we can do that. Let's got that off. If we look at the front here we've got an image of the light itself, which is great. And now let's see how we open the rest of this. Using typical boxing techniques they are. So light up the darkness is their tagline, and as we open it up we've got a brilliant picture there of a diver, and looks like actually Sidemount rebreather. So that's super cool. Can't tell what model that is, but light up the darkness, that's pretty cool in terms of imagery and packaging. We've got a really neat set of technical documentation here in terms of the quick setup guide. I have some experience in this from when I was running software companies, and yeah, so it's really nice, easy to read instructions. Doesn't look like it goes for very long because the first page is English, and from there it looks like we switched to Deutsch or German, and then we've got Italian and some other and Spanish, and also some Asian languages, which I can't tell which is which. So localized into other languages, so that's really cool, and nice effort by Razer in doing that. That is incredibly expensive to go through that process of localizing, so they really are trying to address a global market there in doing that. Now, one of the cool things Razer produced recently was this this light mount, and so this mount, they've got a loose Goodman type handle here. These are pretty cool. I'm not a massive fan of the flexible Goodman handles. Once they're on your hand, they're on your hand, and so I prefer the solid, a little windy here today, I prefer the solid type mounts. But having said that, it's a really cool thing that you can actually mount the light to a Goodman handle there very effectively. The thing that I was more excited about was the helmet mount, because one of the issues with primary lights when you're cave or wreck diving in an overhead and dark environment is the ability to be able to make sure that you can put your light away when you need your hands, and make sure that it's not shining in your teammates' faces. So having this, the ability to attach this to the side of your helmet, to be able to change the angle of it, and then work on lines or whatever, is a really, really cool thing. So that's pretty neat to have that come with the light. I was sort of expecting to buy this separately, so that's neat added value, and so well done to HP and the team at Razer for doing that, because I think it's neat that you don't have to buy that added extra. So if I go deeper into the packaging, we'll get rid of some of this. Here's the light itself inside the box. Let's see if I can do this without it all falling down, so you can see what we're getting here. So the first thing that catches my attention is the attachments. Thank God for that. So I live in New Zealand, and so that's the New Zealand Australia plug, and so again, really neat. It's no point drafting this in other languages in terms of the manuals if you don't provide the plugs. So here we've got a British plug, we've got a EU plug, and it comes natively with a US plug on there, so it's going to be fairly easy for me to swap that out and make sure that I can get the wireless charger to work. So well done on that part. The charger itself, no, that's something, we're going to come to that in a moment, that's something else. Wireless charging. So I'm rocking a Terek here as well, and I'm loving the fact that that's wireless charging. And so here we are with the new Razer light, primary light, and it also has wireless charging. So we really are in the 21st century here now in terms of that. So that's neat. The light, let's see what's connected here. Everything's connected together. Let's go for the light head first. So compared to my Duo, what am I loving about this? Firstly, the size. It's really nice size to be able to handle, and so that's cool. The light button itself is easily accessible. I'm going to be able to connect a clip to that reasonably easily as well, which I tend to do. I have a clip here so I can clip it off, but you can see how it's got the opposite end to the mount here. So when I want to be able to mount that onto the helmet mount, you can see exactly how that works there. So that is very cool. When that's tightened up, that'll lock in there, snap in there nicely, and be held in place. So it's a simple twist function to make that work. So that's pretty cool. Some spare O-rings, really important, and an Allen key. So that's cool, and that's in there as well. Now let's have a look at the battery, because remember, that was my issue traveling. And what prompted me to be an early adopter, if you want to call it that, and buy this damn thing straight off the bat, was the fact that, let's see, it's got a locking mechanism on it. Okay, so that's how they want you to mount it. So it's got a locking mechanism here so that you can mount it on your harness. So I'm going to have to investigate that a little further to see how that works. But that's really cool. Perhaps I should actually read the manual, it might be helpful. But what I was excited about in terms of this light was the fact that I can disconnect the battery here, and I'll come back to a little point I'm seeing on there in a moment. So let's get on with this, because this, as I said, was why I purchased this. Traveling is a massive issue for me with lights, and they have this fly safe cap that goes on the end of the light that I can screw on there, and I have not even bothered to figure out whether this is underneath the 150 watt hours. I'm going to assume that it is for a lithium ion battery on aircraft, but simply having something like that on the bottom of it saying fly safe and having this in my carry-on is going to mean that I'm going to pull this out. It's going to get inspected for sure, but as soon as I show that, then I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to have an issue and lose this at immigration in New Zealand. Here we go. What have we got? 14.4 volts by 6.8. So I'll have to do the multiplication on that, and I'll add a little bit in the notes as to what that's going to be. But roughly, I'm assuming it's under 150. So if you multiply those two numbers together, you get the watt hours. So that's great. Other thing to note is this is going to be a butt mount as opposed to my other one. Now this size, I don't mind too much butt mounting that. It's going to sit pretty nicely underneath my harness, so that's fine. But you've got the side mount connector here, which is cool. So as a side mount diver, you've really got a couple of ways, and the traditional way is butt mount, having this coming out the side, and then you can route it up to the back of your harness on the inside, have it come up over your left shoulder, and you can locate it there with some bungee or some clips, and then have it able to be clipped off or attached to your helmet or your Goodman handle on your hand. I think that's really cool. So I'm pretty happy and quite impressed with this straight out of the box. I'm going to see if it's got any charge in it. Traveling, probably not, but I doubt that they've sent it flat as well. So we might get a little bit of an idea as to how grunty this thing's going to be. I am stepping down a long way from 18,000 to 4,200, but having said that, it's not all about the horsepower, it's not all about the lumens. A lot of the power on a light is about the reflector inside there as well, and how well that works. So let's see what we've got, and we've got a little bit there. So I won't try to shine it straight into the lens, that's nasty, but fairly easy to operate. And it's a nice kind of spot. Looking around now, I'm in complete daylight here, so it looks pretty good. And I should probably reference the manual and see how we get the different power settings, but I'm sure it's just going to be something like hold it, see how intuitive things are. It's a good sign that nobody reads the manual right, but that looks really neat to me, and I think that's going to be fine. So I'm going to be diving this over the next few weeks, and I'll take it inside a wreck for sure, and we'll see how it works. I think the one thing I'm going to miss is the video capability, but I bought this as a primary light, and so as a primary light, you're typically, for signaling and so on, you're really going to want that to be a spot rather than a video light anyhow. So what I can do is carry something like this baby as a video light, and so have a handheld one that I can clip off, put away, and then use as I need to if I want a video light. So I think I'm going to love this, and I hope I'm not voiding the warranty by turning it on out of the box. So well done to Razer, well done HP, Steve and Uta, and I am super impressed with it out of the box, and I can't wait to put it in the water. So thanks for hanging in, and if you want to check out some things, check out the Sidemount Pros Facebook page, and also we have a great YouTube channel where there's tons of neat side mount diving videos, and then of course my podcast, Speaking Sidemount, goes out every week. There's a Facebook page for that, and there's 4 or 5 different channels that you can listen to Speaking Sidemount. And on top of that, I also have a book on side mount diving, an ebook, Side Mount Fundamentals, where I cover all of the fundamentals of side mount diving, and also a book on wreck diving if you're into that too. So thanks for listening, and catch you somewhere in the water soon. Thanks.